Welcome guys, it's Jack here from the Big Game Report, bringing you the second episode of our NBA preview series. We're going through each team, all 30 of them, previewing their starting lineup, what we think they can improve on from last year and where we think they'll finish overall in the NBA. The second team that we'll be looking at, if you've not checked out the first episode on the Atlanta Hawks, make sure you do and you'll get more of a gist of what the series is about. But today's episode is on the Boston Celtics, who had a bit of a rough season last year. Many people expected them to finish first and possibly even win the championship, beat the Golden State Warriors in the finals, but that didn't happen. There were a lot of chemistry issues within the team. But Brad Stevens and the Celtics organisation have tried to work things out in the off-season, moving a few players, signing a couple of others, and they're hoping that they can improve on last year's poor results. So starting off, their big off-season recruit at the point guard position, Kemba Walker, signing from the Charlotte Hornets, had an all-star season last year, terrific point guard, and I think he brings a lot of difference to what Kyrie Irving brought the Celtics. Kyrie was one of the reasons that they struggled chemistry-wise. He wanted the ball a lot. He wasn't a pure point guard. He was a shoot-first point guard. But Kemba Walker, you've seen him over the years at Charlotte. He's a very team-orientated player. I'm sure he fits a lot better with this team and the system Brad Stevens has. And I'm sure he'll slot in perfectly. He's a 25-point plus scorer a night, can dish out assists, and he's just a good team man. I think he'll really slot into the team well. At the shooting guard position, you can just toss up between probably two players here, either Marcus Smart or the player I have starting at shooting guard, Jaylen Brown, another young player up and coming. I think he's coming into possibly a contract season, so he'll be wanting to play great basketball. He showed glimpses of what he can achieve in the Milwaukee series, many dunks over Giannis Antetokounmpo, but he seems like he's got a lot of promise, can shoot the three well on his night. He just needs to develop that consistency to take him into possibly even an all-star player this season. At the small forward position, one player who didn't have too great a season last year, copped a lot of criticism, is Gordon Hayward. I think the opportunity is there for him to step up. There's a couple of players that are not ready to take the starting spot, and he'll come off his position on the bench into the starting team this year. And he just really needs to step up. He was very poor last year considering the money that he's on. I know that there was the injury, the broken leg happened 2 years ago, so last year might have been a bit of a write-off for that reason. But I think coming into this season, if he can start the season well and play with confidence, I think he can have a good season. The power forward in this team usually plays small forward, Jason Tatum. He's got a bit of height, but they are going to be playing a fair bit of small ball with this team. Maybe defense will lack a little bit, but Jason Tatum is going to be an all-star player in this league, even possibly a superstar. He plateaued a bit last season after an incredible rookie season, but I think having more opportunity with the ball, without Kyrie being there, Kemba being a more passing player, I think he will have more of an opportunity this season. Hopefully he can come back into that three-point shooting range that he was in his first season. He struggled a bit from range last year. Hopefully he can come back into the form he was in, because Celtics really need him to be that even possibly main scoring option with Kemba, the 1 and 2 role there. And at the center position, they lost probably their best player last year in the playoffs, Al Horford, signed Enes Kanter. Defense hasn't always been his strongest point, but I think he showed a lot of promise at Portland in the second half of last year. Good rebounder, can score 15-20 points a night when needed. I think he'll be good for the Boston team, be a presence, a bit of a personality. Sometimes, hopefully, it's not a bad personality. He's known to be a bit rough around the edges occasionally, but hoping he can bring the Portland form over to Celtics, because they'll really need him to stand up in the playoffs with only a few young centers in the offing. Moving on to their bench, I'll just quickly run through some of the depth. Marcus Smart, he's a great player, great tenacity on the defensive end. If he can work on his offensive game, he'll be a great star player at the competition. Robert Williams, a center, probably get a couple 10 minutes a night. He's not too bad on the defensive end. And then they've got a whole lot of rookies. You got Romeo Langford, who was predicted to go pretty high in the draft as a point guard, and you got another point guard, young player, Carson Edwards, be good to see them get some game time this season off the bench. They showed a lot of promise in college, and I'm sure they'll be able to translate that into the NBA. Another player that they'll have off the bench is Sami Ojeleye, who's been a good defender. He was exposed a little bit by the length of some players occasionally in the playoff series, but I think if he can get a bit more extra game time, get some confidence under him, he'll be a really good player for the Boston Celtics. I think going into this season, they'll want to finish in the top 3 of the East. I know probably Milwaukee and the 76ers are the top 2 teams, but I think they'll be able to do well in the Eastern Conference this year. I know losing Kyrie is a big loss. He's a great clutch performer, but Kemba Walker has shown that he can be a really clutch player in situations at his time at Charlotte. And I think having him as a leader on the field is probably going to work better for them. Like last year, they had a lot of chemistry issues, which was the main reason they didn't exceed or even reach people's expectations. And I think if he can gel this team together, I know the loss of Al Horford probably for the chemistry puts it down a bit. But I think Kemba Walker, he's that kind of person that would take this by the scruff of the neck and really lead by example. So I think they'll finish 3rd in the Eastern Conference, and they just need to work on that chemistry. I'm sure Brad Stevens, who's not really at any point exceeded really with superstar players, but I don't think Kemba Walker really fits into that superstar name frame that Kyrie does. He's more of an all-star player without that kind of big ego about him, and I think that will work with Brad Stevens. Hopefully they can get a full year of good play out of Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. Hopefully they can grow. Obviously they're young players, and hopefully go on the path upwards that they were showing in the last few years. And Gordon Hayward, they just need some productivity off him, even if it's 10, 15, 20 points a night. They need him to provide a spark sometimes. Hopefully get near somewhat to what he was playing at Utah a few years ago. I know the leg injury never really helps anyone, but I think he can get back to somewhat of his former self. So thanks for joining me today, guys. Hope you've learned a little bit about the Boston Celtics and what they have to offer in the 2019-20 season. If you haven't checked out the episode on the Atlanta Hawks, that'll be on the screen right now. So it'd be appreciated if you could like, subscribe, hit that bell to keep in tune with when we upload the next episode, and thanks for watching.